Hello, this is Forrest Woolman here again at the Electric Bike Report, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Electric Bike Company's Model E Cruiser. It's a cruiser e-bike that is economical and made for everyone. Priced under $2,000, this cruiser is assembled in the USA and features some top-notch quality materials and parts. Its medium-sized frame allows you to adjust this bike to fit almost any rider, and with the single-gear drivetrain, it's super easy to ride. The plush seat and agreeable ergonomics provided me with a very enjoyable riding experience, and I think it might offer the same for you too. So stay tuned here at the Electric Bike Report to learn more about the Electric Bike Company's Model E Cruiser. Now, before I begin, please take a moment to consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell on your screen. Doing so helps support this channel, which enables us to bring in more bikes to test and review. And it will let you know of any future videos we post featuring more e-bike content you might like. So most e-bike companies have at least one cruiser e-bike in their ranks, and that's cool because cruising is cool. But that doesn't mean the company that makes a great commuter e-bike or a great all-terrain e-bike also makes a great cruiser e-bike. The Electric Bike Company, also known as EBC, which I'll be calling it in the rest of this video, they're based in Orange County, California, and they focus only on building cruiser e-bikes. Their specialization means they spend all their time figuring out how to build the best cruiser possible. And when you look at their bikes, you can really see their ingenuity, their quality design, materials, and components. They raise the bar on what's acceptable for cruiser e-bikes, and we all benefit from that. And best of all of their bikes are assembled right here in the good old USA. Yeah. Now, one of the differences between EBC and other cruisers is the price. Electric Bike Company bikes cost a little more, but you're getting a higher quality e-bike, and it's backed by an industry-leading warranty that gives you peace of mind and greater confidence in your Model E. I had the opportunity to talk with several staff members at EBC, including their founders and CEO, Sean Lipton-Smith. These folks are really passionate and really believe in their e-bikes, so much so that they are driven to help others embrace e-bikes as a real transportation solution and something everyone can have fun with. And speaking of fun, the one thing the Electric Bike Company will do for you that not any other company will do is customize your bike any way you like. There are lots of ways you can customize your Model E, such as paint colors for the frame and fork and the wheels. EBC uses Sherwin-Williams automotive paint, so that gives you over hundreds and hundreds of choices for making your e-bike really stand out. They can also customize the components on your bike, including battery, your gearing, your suspension, rack, seat, grips, wheels, you name it. Like I said, no other e-bike company will customize your bike to the extent that the Electric Bike Company will, and that's one of the reasons why their customers are so happy and so loyal. Our team recently spent several weeks testing and evaluating this Model E that you see here. I have to say that my experiences with riding this bike were memorable. This isn't because this bike went faster, or went farther, or climbed hills better, or stopped better than other bikes. Instead, this involved the cruising experience I had, and the new perspective this bike gave me about riding, or in this case, cruising. So next I'll go over the key specs with you and talk about the things that make this bike special. Okay, so this Model E has a 500-watt motor, 48 volt, and it's proprietary to the Electric Bike Company, which means they can offer a 10-year warranty on it, which is tops in the industry. And this motor generates 60 Newton meters of torque, which is definitely what you need when you're climbing up hills. It's shipped as a Class 2 e-bike, which means throttle and pedal assist up to 20 miles per hour. There's a way you can reprogram it to a Class 3 so that pedal assist goes up to 28 miles per hour. You just need to contact the Electric Bike Company and they'll give you the details on that. The battery integrated into the frame, 48 volt, 12 amp hour, and that's the stock one we have. I'll give you some more details about options on other batteries in a minute. The battery is made by Samsung, so it's ISO tested, and it's one of the top quality batteries in the industry, and it uses NMC cells, which means the electric bike company can offer you a 5-year warranty on this. Now the range on this bike is up to 50 miles, and in a couple of minutes I'll talk to you about the results of our range test that we did. The charger, here's something I really like. 3.5 amp supercharger only takes 2 to 3 hours to charge this battery, which, as you know, with a lot of other bikes, it's 6 to 8 hours to charge. So that's really, really cool. The brakes that come stock are Bengal hydraulic brakes. They're dual piston caliper, 180 millimeter rotors. There's an optional Tektro Dorado 4-piston hydraulic disc brake you can get. That's what this bike had, and that's the one that we tested with. Also 180 millimeter rotors, and the rotors are stainless steel, front and rear. Drivetrain on this bike is single gear, but there's an optional Shimano 7-speed you can put on it. And the freewheel, it's 18-tooth cog on the back, and the crankset is 58-tooth on the front. And you want that, with the single gear on the back, you want that big 58-tooth case crank ring for, you know, getting the wheel turned around. The crank arm is 170 millimeters, and it's forged alloy, and it's dual-sided aluminum bash guard. The frame, it's a 6061 aluminum alloy, and it's got up to 3 millimeters of thickness in the key stress points, which that's really good. The fork, it's a rigid steel fork, 1.5 inches with a threaded steerer tube, and there's also an option that you can put the suspension fork on if you like too. Chain, stainless steel for longevity. The tires, they're 26-inch by 2.35, and they're the Schwalbe Fat Frank E-Cruiser tires, and they really worked well when it came to handling and control and helping out the suspension too. More on that in a minute. The rims, they're 2-inch double-walled aluminum rims made by Jet Set, and you can paint them any color, as well as the spokes. The spokes are 13-gauge steel. And the thing I like about the rims and the spokes is how strong they are combined with the rim, because total weight, this bike only weighs 56 pounds. You would think when you've got a lot of steel parts on it would be more. But here's the really great thing. The maximum weight capacity on this bike, 420 pounds. That's like 80 to 100 pounds more than what you find in most e-bikes out there, which is really good. So there are the key specs on the Electric Bike Company's Model E. So e-bikes, like the Electric Bike Company's Model E, can travel at pretty fast speeds. And we like to make sure that their braking is up to the task of stopping the rider in a hurry when needed. That's why we perform a brake test. Now here at EBR, we bring bikes up to 20 miles per hour before hitting the brakes and measuring the distance it takes to stop. We try to brake as quickly as we can while also maintaining control of the bike in a fashion similar to how you, the average rider, would. We do this multiple times, and then we take an average of what the stopping distance is. The average stopping distance for this bike with the Tektro Dorado rotors and caliper was 24 feet. And so that was a little bit longer than what we're used to with these cruisers. The average is slightly above 22 feet. And our test rider Griffin took this bike up to 20 miles per hour before slamming on the brakes, like I said, and that's common for a commuter when they're racing along at 20 miles per hour, but when you're riding a cruiser, you're usually going slower. And in this case, that would give you more time to stop. When I was riding this bike on the local paths the other day, there were more people than usual since it was spring break. I was averaging around 15 miles per hour, and I found these brakes worked fine for stopping for me, and I didn't notice any kind of difference with other cruisers I've tested. And that makes sense because this bike's really for cruising, not for racing. In order to gain a better sense of motor engagement, we put all the bikes we review on a circuit test. The circuit course is a 1-mile loop with a small 30-foot climb. We do multiple laps on this course, 4 right-hand turns. We start the first lap with no motor assistance. Then we go up 1 PAS level with each lap. In this case, with PAS 1 to 5, we do 6 laps total. Now, with this, we can see the speed profile of the bike and get a sense of how well the motor engages with the rider. The motor engaged really well with my pedaling on the circuit test, and the acceleration at each PAS level was predictable. And you want that in a bike, especially a cruiser bike. The bike picked up speed by about 2 miles per hour from PAS 1 to PAS 4. That's important with the cruiser because all you want to do is enjoy the ride. You don't want to be surprised by sudden radical acceleration. You just want to cruise. But watch out when you go into PAS 5. This bike will take off. This test bike was set up as a Class 3 e-bike, meaning the throttle and pedal assist worked up to 28 miles per hour. So when I clicked into PAS 5, the bike bolted ahead, almost 5 miles per hour faster, getting me up to 26, 27 miles really quick. Now, if you do this on your Model E, please be careful. It's not as easy to control the bike at that speed when holding leather grips and on a mustache handlebar. At the very least, I would trade in the leather grips for a good set of rubber grips too, if you're going to do a Class 3 setup on this. Now, EBC can put those rubber grips on before they send the bike to you. And also take note, some areas of the country don't permit Class 3 e-bikes on their trails, so you'll want to check with local authorities first to find out if you can make this bike a Class 3 e-bike and ride it in your area. So EBC sends all their bikes as Class 2, like I mentioned earlier, and there's a way you can switch to Class 3. Just make sure to contact EBC and they'll go over it with you. So two of the most common questions we get about e-bikes is, how far does it go? The second is, how well does it do on the hills? I'll cover the hill climbing question in a couple of minutes, but first talk to you about the bike's battery range. Now, to determine how far an e-bike can go using power from the battery, we perform two separate range tests. In the first test, we used the highest pedal assistance setting, which is PAS 5 on this bike. And in the second, we used the lowest assistance setting that was good for pedaling in our area. In this case, was PAS 2, not PAS 1. This establishes a real-world value on how far this e-bike will take you. Now, on the minimum PAS test, again using PAS 2, because that gave us the most consistent engagement considering the inclines on our trail, this bike went 45.92 miles powered by this 12 amp hour battery, which is pretty good. On the maximum PAS test using PAS 5, this bike went 21.46 miles, and that's also a good range if you're relying on a battery this size. Now, earlier I mentioned that EBC will customize your bike the way you want. That includes batteries. If you want to go farther between charges, you can have them add a front basket to hold the second battery. There are up to 7 different combinations you can choose from their list of 12 amp hour and 14 amp hour primary batteries that go here, and 9 amp hour batteries that can go in the basket. So really you can get up to 30 amp hours of battery power, giving you a maximum range of at least 115 miles, at least based on our calculations from the tests that we did. Now, an important note about EBC batteries is that their team of engineers devoted thousands of hours designing a safe battery that won't overheat or catch fire. They told me themselves, public safety is really important to everyone at Electric Bike Company. So I got to say kudos to the Electric Bike Company for making this a priority. Now let's go back to the other question that we get commonly around here about e-bikes. How well does it do on hills? We were curious to see how this e-bike climbs steeper hills, and we were eager to see it with our hill test. Now, our hill climb test really pushes our test bikes to the limits, using one of the highest hills around, Utah's own Hellhole Trail. This trail is 1/3 of a mile long and has an average grade of 12%. This hill climb is probably longer and steeper than any hill that's regularly faced by you or the average commuter. But this test really helps us answer the question about an e-bike's climbing ability. We do this test in 2 parts. The first is using the throttle only, no pedaling, and the second involves pedaling, basic minimum pedaling, while using the highest PAS level. Now, in the throttle only test, this bike completed the climb in a time of 1 minute 58 seconds and an average speed of 9.2 miles per hour. In the maximum PAS, and pedaling along with it, this bike reached the top in 1 minute and 21 seconds, average speed of 13.4 miles per hour. Now, I can't say climbing hills is this bike's forte. The times were a little bit on the slow side, but it's not really designed to face challenging hills like this on a regular basis. And also keep in mind we have the single gear on here. If we had the 7-speed, it would do better. Fortunately, the battery also has a safety shutoff in case you tackle a hill that causes the motor and battery to overheat. And most importantly, the Model E passed both of our tough hill climbing tests as it stands. And that says a lot about what this bike can do. So in the end, the Model E passed all of our performance tests. Although the one thing I would want to upgrade is having EBC add the optional Shimano 7-speed gearing. Adding the 7-speed will make pedaling uphill much easier, and it will give you longer range for your battery because you're not using PAS5 all the time. The 500-watt motor doled out the right amount of power at the right times, and remember, it's got a 10-year warranty, best in the industry. The battery is UL rated as one of the safest you can buy. The seat was super comfy, and the ergonomics very rider friendly. The wide tires took care of the bumps in the road and kept me on the road even in high winds. The frame was solid and the forks felt firm as I rode all over town. The display unit was easy to read and easy to operate, and the brakes stopped me when I needed them to. Riding this cruiser with its design and feel gave me a new outlook on riding, or should I mean cruising. I must say I've looked at hundreds of e-bikes and I noticed the differences in quality and design between each brand. I was really happy with the Model E's quality and design, and I can't say enough about how delightful an experience I had talking with their staff and founder. They believe in their cruiser e-bikes and they care about their customers. The Electric Bike Company is definitely a company I recommend buying an e-bike from. So that's it. Thanks for watching our review of the Electric Bike Company's Model E. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, then please click like. If you're not currently a subscriber to our channel, please subscribe. It really helps us get the word out to others about e-bikes. And to check out current pricing for this e-bike, there's a check best price link down below. Please click it and check it out. Also, be sure to click the link to our in-depth written review, written by me. It has the details I mentioned today, plus a lot of other important stuff. So that's it for now. I'm Forrest Woolman with the Electric Bike Report. Thanks for watching. I look forward to maybe seeing you out there on the trail sometime. And please, please remember, keep your hands on the bar, your feet on the pedals, and your eyes on the road. And hopefully I'll see you next time here on the Electric Bike Report.